Hey guys, welcome back to Collegiate Carnivore. So today I wanted to talk about my story and how I came to be a carnivore and why I'm sharing it with you and why you might glean a little bit of benefit from this diet. So to start off, I'd like to say I've always been a bit of a chubby kid. Grew up early part of my life, I was fine, my metabolism was okay. Then as I started to get older, I'd go over to my grandparents, we'd have bologna and mac and cheese and ice cream and all sorts of different little treats and snacks. We had all these little sugar-free wafers, like the little Nutty Buddies. We had those, Debbie cakes, all that kind of stuff. My parents didn't like it, but I loved it as a kid. Um, and my grandparents would feed it to me all the time, so that's what I ate most of the time. Then there was bologna sandwiches and all that stuff. So I'd always been a big kid, and it still follows me now. In some of the ways in which I eat were also gleaned from my family. My dad grew up where everything was put on the table, and if you didn't eat it right then, it was gone. So I have a bit of an issue with eating way too fast and not being able to control how much I eat, which certainly hurt me later. But right now, it's not too big of a deal because I can kind of eat as much as I want and not really see a difference, more so than I would have earlier. So I also had terrible, terrible acne. I was made fun of it uh, all throughout elementary, middle, and even parts of high school too. Although high school was more tame because most everybody just kind of stuck to their own guns and didn't really give a shit. Um, I did some medication in dermatology. I had creams, ointments, and those didn't work. Eventually, I moved on to a pill. The pill did work, but it dried out my skin and caused a bunch of other issues. So eventually, I weaned off of it, and the acne came back. So in about 2018, I think it was, whenever my parents started going on keto. Excuse me. They themselves were quite big, so they went on it for weight loss reasons, and they did lose a lot. They were really thin, and since they considered it a diet, which is a one major problem I see with people with carnivores, everybody keeps saying carnivore diet. And when people think diet, they think, oh, I'm going to go diet and eat on a salad and lose some weight here or there for a time. And then they don't end up sticking to it, even though they feel great. At least on keto, they felt good on keto. I felt good on keto, but since they lost all the weight they wanted to, and they still thought of it as a diet rather than a lifestyle, they ended up quitting. And we would go out to restaurants and family dinners and things like that. Things would be present, we'd eat it, and then the cravings would come back. So eventually we just stopped. And that was a huge setback because then I started gaining weight again and it was not fun. Eventually I got up to 225 pounds, which is about 102 kilograms for those non Americans out there. Um, and that was not fun. Being that heavy, my my belly was distended. I had almost no chin. It was basically just all skin from here to there from the side, whereas now that's gone. So that was not fun, not comfortable. Um, so I decided to do what everybody else did: calorie restrict, do a bunch of cardio, do these. My parents, before they tried keto, were doing like calorie restriction, whole grains, turkey burgers, all kinds of like low fat, whole grain stuff that everybody was doing in the early 2010s. Um, and they had a bunch of these little exercise videos. So I had I think it was called P90X or something like that. And it was like a upper body cardio kind of dumbbell exercise video. It worked. It worked pretty well. I got a lot stronger. By the when I started, I could do maybe 2 or 3 push-ups, and then by the end of it, I was doing 7, 8 push-ups per thing, and it was like a push-up on a pair of dumbbells, and then you would raise your arm, then do another push-up, then raise the other arm, and it worked pretty well. I got pretty strong with it, but it wasn't very sustainable, and I was going off to college then, and I still had a roommate. And you can't exactly take a laptop with a video file to a gym because then you look weird. But if you do it in front of your roommate, it's also kind of weird. So I ended up stopping that. But I did go and do incline walking at the gym. It's like 15 degrees incline at like 2.5 or 3.5 miles an hour. Did that for half an hour a day. I got relatively slim. I think my lowest at that point was 185, but I maintained around 190. Um, I was eating a lot of subs. I can't remember what else I was eating. I was eating like small portions of other things, but mostly subs. It was like a half a sub a day, or a whole sub a day, but like split in half for different times. So I did that, lost a bit of weight, got down to 185, eventually stopped due to mental anguish and another whole long story that I can't get into. And I ended up gaining weight back, and I got back up to 215, which is 97.5 kilograms. Not fun. During that time, when I was still gaining weight, I watched a video on a YouTube channel called Carnivore. He is the guy behind it. I think his name is Lee. I don't know what his last name is because I can't give you that. But he had a video where he took out a portion of Jordan Peterson talking about carnivore and what he experienced and his ailments, and also talking about Michaela Peterson, his daughter, having childhood rheumatoid arthritis, having all that cured, and even being pregnant while being strictly lion. So I did that. I spent months researching all your typical guys, Kent Berry, or Dr. Ken Berry, Sean Baker, Anthony Chafee. Mostly stuck to those three for that time. And then I tried it for like a week and a half in the middle of March of 2024, and I lost about 10 pounds. Most of those were like water weight from the first 2 or 3 days, because I lost 7 pounds in 3 days, and then lost 3 pounds over the next couple of days. And then I broke it because I went back into the kitchen of like the university kitchen that's got all these different buffet items and whatnot. So I lost track of it. Kept trying to I was like dirty carnivore the whole rest of the time. Midsummer, tried to go carnivore. I did it about once every month. There was some kind of temptation that came up. We'd go out to dinner, we'd go somewhere, and I couldn't have something. Went to Texas Roadhouse, and you know those rolls are incredible. So I had a few rolls here and there. Did some things, and I wasn't exactly proud of it. I didn't like breaking it. I felt bad, and it wasn't fun. So then like November, December comes around. There's a bunch of family holidays, get-togethers, birthdays. My birthday was there, and I ended up going off, as I discussed in the previous video. I went off, tried to get back on several times. Eventually, I just kind of gave up and ended up eating whatever was on the counter. There was cookies, biscuits, all that stuff. And then December 27th, I decided to slap myself in the face, get back into gear, and start again. So that's basically my story, from average kid growing up to keto in 2018 to not to carnivore. If any of you guys have your stories, or you'd like me to answer some questions, if you've got any questions about carnivore or what I've been through, or if you have any advice to people, please make sure you put a comment down below. Make sure you like the video, subscribe, and I will see you guys soon enough.